Hey guys, how are you doing? In this video, I'll be showing you how these different services work. Sorry if it's tiny, but you're gonna see it soon. We're gonna have a Laravel app as backend. We're gonna have a React app as the front end, and then all of them is going to be inside Docker. All right, and then we're gonna have Uptime Kuma for status monitoring to tell us when our Laravel app is up and down, when the React app is up and down. And then we're going to have Traefik. Traefik will help route our traffic. So remember, we're not going to be writing any codes here. We're going to use boilerplate for the Laravel and React. But the whole idea of this course is to show you how they all work together. All right. So follow me in this video as we do that. If you're watching me for the first time, you need to click the subscribe button below and turn on notifications, and also click the share button if you want to see more of my videos. I make very important videos that solve real problems. So let's go ahead. So the very first step is, this is exactly how our video will look like. All right, not video now, but project. Okay, we're gonna have a main folder that says Laravel. We're gonna call it anything, Laravel, React, Traefik, whatever. And then we're gonna, inside it, we're gonna have a folder for the Laravel app. We're also gonna have a folder for the React app. We're gonna have a folder for Traefik and Uptime Kuma, and then we're gonna have a Docker Compose file. All right. Okay. Remember that I'm using a MacBook, so in case you're not using MacBook, you should do it your own way in Windows or like Linux or whatever. So in my MacBook, I have a specific folder where I put web software projects. So go to where you do your software thing. So this is my folder. So I'm just going to create a new folder here, and I'm gonna call it what I have here, Laravel React Traefik. That's what I have here. So open it. So now inside it, I'm just going to, oh well, not inside it, but outside. If I right click on it, to services, I'm just gonna open a command prompt there, new terminal add folder. Okay, now here I'm going to do the remaining, create the remaining folders. Okay, so we can do it manually. I'm just gonna run a command. I hope you can see my screen. Let me expand the text. Control Command plus. Yeah, good. I hope it's clear now. Okay, so inside this folder, we're gonna create the folders we need. Alright, so here I'm just going to paste the command to create the different folders. So we're creating 4 folders: Laravel app, React app, Traefik, and Uptime Kuma. Hit enter, and it has created. Alright, and so now if you check Laravel, React, Traefik, you'll see that these folders have been created. Good. So let's go to the next step. So we're gonna go into the Laravel app, and then we're gonna create a Docker file. Okay, so cd here, cd Laravel app, and then we're gonna create a Docker app, a Docker file. One thing I'm gonna do to make creation of files and folders easier is to open this in a text editor. So here I'm just gonna do cd go back to this root folder, and then type this. If you have VS Code installed, if you do code space dot, it's gonna open the folder in VS Code. So now we are in VS Code, right? So good. So inside Laravel app folder, we're gonna create a file we call Docker file. So make sure that you got the spelling right, and I'm just gonna copy and paste the commands here. I'll explain it, but generally that's what it should be. So Docker file. Now the Docker file here, the first line here describes PHP 8.2. Now I'm going to, after just in a few seconds now, I'll create a GitHub repository and push this project to GitHub. So if you want to copy and paste this, you can copy and paste it. All right. So this is this Docker file is making use of PHP 8.2. If you're using a different PHP version, you can use it here. Okay, this is well commented. So these are the things it's gonna install for me. Extensions it's gonna install for me on the PHP. All right. Then it's gonna run this command, composer. Okay. Then this is the working directory. Okay. So it's gonna copy the Laravel files, and then we install it. Set permissions for the Laravel. Enable our Apache rewrite module, and then expose port 80. So this is what the Docker file is gonna do. Okay. So now I want to create a GitHub repository for this. So we're going to go to the terminal. So here I'm going to I'm on GitHub right now, github.com, and I'm creating a new repository, Laravel React Traefik, and create. So the reason I'm creating this repository is so that you can have access to this project and the source code if you ever need to. So it's created now, and this is the URL. In case you're looking for it, this is the URL. Okay, now I'm going to just push to it. So here it says git remote add origin. So we're adding to it an existing repo. So right here, hit enter. And secondly, git branch main, and then we push. I think we need to add origin. Git add, git commit, initial commit, and then we push. So the way to do that is here, hit enter, and now you can have access to this project whenever you want. Okay, so now we're going to continue our setup. So next challenge is to install Docker. Okay, so I'm going to go to my browser and say download Docker. I'm using Mac, so I'll say download Docker for Mac. But if you're using Windows or Linux, whatever, so Docker desktop for Mac with Apple Silicon Intel chip. So this is the one I'm using. If you're not sure which silicon your system is using, you can Google it, right? The name of your MacBook and the OS version, and Google it. So this is mine. I already have Docker installed, so I don't need it. But if you wanted to download for Windows, you can still look for it on this page. All right. Or here, look, this is for Windows and this is for Linux. Now we're back to coding. Here inside Docker file, inside Laravel app folder, inside Docker file, you should have this file that says, that contains this. So this is actually the Docker file. So this is the file that Docker will look into to be able to create everything you need. So look through it well. It's well commented, and I think I've explained it earlier in this video. Look at the working directory, install Laravel dependencies, and so on. Okay, so now we have this. The only thing I want you to pay attention to is the PHP version. As at the time I'm making this video, this is a fairly stable PHP version. But just in case you're watching this video 3, 4, 5 years from now, this is likely the only thing you need to change. Update to the current PHP version. Okay. So we're going to create a Laravel project. Remember that our Laravel folder is still empty. So we just created Docker file. We want to create a Laravel project inside it. So to do that, we have to cd into Laravel app. Okay, now we're inside. We run this command so that Docker will help us to create a Laravel project from what we have here. Okay, so just look at the command, make sure you have it, and then hit enter. I think there's a problem, and the problem is that our Docker is not running. So we have to start Docker. So here, I'm just gonna go where I installed it and look for Docker and start it. That's all you have to do. We wait for a few seconds for Docker to boot up. Once it has started, we'll run the command again. See, that's booted up. And now we can run the command again and enter. Say Visual Studio Code would like to access data from other apps. Allow. And it's loading. All right. So Docker is helping us to install Laravel. I'm just going to pause this video, come back after a few minutes when the installation is complete. Remember, we're not going to code Laravel per se. We just want a basic working Laravel for demo, and we'll do the same thing for React. So here now, let's do clear. Our Laravel is installed, and our next step here is to copy the env file. So I'm just going to copy the env file, no such file, or directly, okay? There's a challenge. This command that we ran to install Laravel, it failed because the folder is not empty. See, inside our folder we have Docker file. So one thing we can do is to rerun the command, but first of all we remove the Docker file from this move. So now the Laravel folder is empty because Composer often requires a fresh empty folder before it can install Laravel. So we're going to remove the Docker file, we install Laravel, then we come right back and bring back the Docker file. Okay, so I'm going to do clear everything, and I'm going to pull up the Docker command and run it again. We'll be back when it's done installing. As you can see, the installation is going on well now. Whenever it's done, we'll drag the Docker file right back. All right, so installation is complete. As you can see, our Laravel folder is filled. So we go to the next step of dragging the Docker file right back into the Laravel folder and say, okay, move. And we now have the env file. So this is the env file. But what I'm concerned about in the env file is the database connection. So I'm just going to copy and paste. So, all right, I'm going to paste my new connection, and this is it. So here we have the test password, test user, and localhost, and I think everything is fine. I'm just going to comment out this one. Okay, we're using MySQL, not SQLite. So this is our new connection. So now we have Laravel setup. We're gonna do the same thing for React. Okay, so for React app, so let's cd into React app, cd React app, and now we're gonna create a React app. So npx create React app and hit enter. I'll be back after a few seconds when the installation is done. So within the React app, we're gonna create a Docker file. So inside React app, as you can see, a lot of things were created. So I'll just do new. We're going to call it Docker file. Then inside this Docker file, we're going to paste this, telling Docker how to set this up. So this is it. You can screenshot and copy it, or you can pull it from my repo. All right. So I'm going to save this by Control S. So we're going to go into Traefik. So cd, let me clear this, clear. So we're going to go into this folder, which is Traefik, okay? cd Traefik. And now we're inside Traefik. We need to create a file, traefik.yml. So let me minimize this. We're inside Traefik. As you can see, Traefik is empty. Right click, new file, traefik.yml. So YML is a markup language, yet or another markup language. You can call it YAML or YML. Okay, so remember that Traefik routes traffic. It determines based on which domain people visit, which of the apps should load. That's Traefik for you. So you can pause this and write this down, or you get it from my project. I remember that Traefik is trying to set up Let's Encrypt and with some other things in case you want HTTPS, as you can see. And it's well commented in case you want to figure out what's going on here. But my main aim is to get to the end of the tutorial as fast as possible so you can see how they all make sense together. So for SSL, which we may never use, but I just wanted to show you how it could be set up, we're going to touch acme.json. So this is a file that handles SSL certificates. Basically, we just created acme.json, and we're going to set the permissions correctly. And this is the right permission to secure it. So we're chmoding it to 600, and that sorts it out. So the next step here is to go to Uptime Kuma and inside it we're just going to create a folder, not file, folder called data. So this is where Uptime Kuma keeps its database. So now back out in the root folder, we're going to create a Docker Compose file. So we'll create a file called Docker Compose YML. Okay. Then we'll paste this. You can get this from my GitHub, but this is what Docker needs. And I'll briefly explain what's happening here. Okay, this is actually the very last stage of it. So we're using Docker version 3 and define a network for all services to communicate with, and this is it. And this is the services, and we have Laravel. Uh, okay, and this helps us to launch our Laravel at this domain. Okay, this is just a sample domain, and of course it has less encrypt, and we have MySQL. Laravel depends on MySQL, so MySQL has to run for the Laravel to run. MySQL database for Laravel, and we're running the MySQL service. And these are the login details. And of course, you can modify them to match your MySQL. We also have React running. Okay, so the React is running at this domain. So remember that this one is the Laravel is running at api.mydomain.com or whatever your domain is. React is running at the root domain. You can change it here if you don't want. And Traefik is the one routing the domains. Okay, this is it here. And Uptime Kuma is the one monitoring. So at the end of the day, we have one volume. That's just it. Basically, you're done. All you have to do is to route your DNS, your domain name service. So that's just it. That's all of them running. So now we're going to just do Docker Compose up. This is how we run our Docker. Docker is going to run everything, and then we can test them. All right. Remember, I'm not running this on my server like AWS or anything. This is on my local system. So eventually, we might come back and need to change this to localhost. All right, these domains, we can change them to localhost. You see, localhost. You see, Uptime Kuma is running at monitor.mydomain. We can change it to localhost too. Okay, now with this is how this is supposed to be set up on your server, but because I'm running a local system, everything is inside my computer here, my desktop. So what we're gonna do is to set this thing up so it can run locally. So we're gonna change this from my domain to this. Okay, now compare the two. So this now will we change host to path prefix so that when you visit something like a local host 8080 / API, it will pull up Laravel. We can change it to Laravel too, it doesn't matter. All right. So that becomes the route to it. So this one now, I'm gonna take it out. So you just need to know that everything in these two lines are the same, except that we change host to path prefix, and then we added the path prefix. You know that we should do the same. Oops. We should do the same for this React. So we're just gonna do this. So instead of Laravel, we'll do React. Role path prefix, we'll call it React. Okay, that works. So we do the last one, which is here. Instead of monitor.mydomain, we can just do, we can call it Kuma or monitor. So just paste path prefix. I can just duplicate this line, right? And call it path prefix. And it's gonna be /Kuma /monitor. So we take out the top one and we're good. Just remove the spaces and everything is fine. Okay, so we have to take down Docker and restart it again. So right here, I'm gonna run Docker build up, but I'll clear this first, and then we'll run Docker compose up build. Okay, so it rebuilded everything, and once it's done, we start visiting. This takes a few minutes, in case you don't know. It takes a few minutes. So we need a handful of just one or two more configurations, and here instead of web, we can do instead of web secure, we can do web, and we may attempt to configure the server to port 80, and we do the same thing with React. Instead of web secure, we'll do web, and we may do this. So instead of Laravel here, we'll do React. So, but when it comes to Kuma, I'm thinking we should leave it at this. To me, that looks good. We might end up doing this too. Okay, remember, since we're trying to get it to work on local, we don't need this to this let's encrypt. Not this two, but we don't need let's encrypt, and the TLS shouldn't be true. So you can just put a comment to comment it out, or just remove it. In my own case, I don't need it for live, so I'm just gonna remove it, and I'm removing this too. And the last type, let's encrypt and TLS. So this being done, you do Control C to stop your Docker, and then you run Docker Compose up build again. Wait a few minutes. Once it's ready, we're going to check it out on our browser. So the first thing you notice is that when we visit localhost port 8080, the Traefik works perfectly. So this is Traefik, and it's telling us here, if you click on explore, you see that there are 6 routes, and there are services about 6, and so on. Okay, so let's just look at explore, and we see these routes. We see the Laravel, right? And the API is /API /React /monitor. So if you click on the Laravel, the /API, you see that on the web it's expecting port 80. All right, and then this is the router, and it connects to Laravel service. And you can see a lot of information. There's no TLS configured. We disable that. Okay, so that's just the way it is. And this is the server. So we can just test it by copying and pasting, and let's see how it goes. So it's loading up right now. If you look at the top right corner of the screen, it's loading up. So usually Traefik is where you want to start. You click on each service and watch it. So there's a load balancer already. Okay, so while it's loading for the first time, of course, gonna take time. So let's go back to the HTTP homepage. I want to do the same thing for React and the monitor. So we'll go to the React, and let's see how it goes on the service. This one too. I'll show you another way to access it, but there's something I'm looking for, which is, let's look at the last one, the monitor /monitor Uptime Kuma service. You see? Okay, so this is the endpoint for it. I'll copy. This is right click copy, and we'll check it out here. And it's loading. So another way, this one is still loading. Another way to access it would be, you know where this port is coming from. If we look at our code base, we can easily see from this Docker Compose that the Kuma is trying to load at port 3001. So, but let's try and check the monitor. Okay, so let's try and do this now. Localhost. We'll do port 8080 first, and then we'll try the normal one. So same page not found because it doesn't understand this route. But if we remove 180, it's loading. Even though it's hanging halfway, it's loading. Another thing we can try is to come here and say localhost colon 80, and we do something like API. So Apache is working, just not loading the Laravel yet. And then the last one is apart from, I think it's React. We call it React. You would see something similar. Nginx is working for the React, just not loading the React app. So basically, that's it so far. We can then go into our app and actually debug and get it to work at the Laravel level. Like here, we can come here at the Laravel level and get it to work.